Pots, Pans, and Pioneers. Today we're going to be making my Southern Buttermilk Biscuits because today is National Buttermilk Biscuit Day. So you're not going to want to miss this recipe. Okay, so today is National Buttermilk Biscuit Day and we're going to be making my Southern Buttermilk Biscuits. Can't seem to talk today. So we're going to be using most all organic ingredients, and this recipe is not going to be the typical buttermilk biscuit recipe that you find online, which is just butter, flour, baking powder, and salt, and a little bit of water or milk. This is a unique recipe, and I hope that you find it to be beneficial, and I really hope you try it and leave your comments at the bottom. So what we want to do is we want 6 tablespoons of lard, and this can be organic lard. You could use ice cold butter. One of the really good tricks about making biscuits is making sure that most all of your ingredients are ice cold. So this has been chilled. This is organic lard or shortening that I found at Whole Foods. But it's been cold and it's ready to go. So we're going to add 2 cups of, and today I'm using a Red Mill. It says it's for biscuits and it's an organic flour. So I recommend organic flour, or for sure Amazon has a wonderful flour. We can't get it here locally in Texas, but it's called White Lily flour, and their self-rising flour is one of the best for biscuits. So if you can get your hands on White Lily flour in your local area, awesome. If you can't, any organic all-purpose flour or self-rising flour would work great. You can make your own self-rising flour. All you need is baking powder, salt, and flour, and you just mix it all together. So we're going to put 2.5 cups of flour in with our 6 tablespoons of lard. And this is going to make about 12 to 14 biscuits, depending on the size of your biscuit that you're going to do. I'm going to use 1/2 cup of buttermilk powder. And you can buy buttermilk powder online, or you can find it in your local grocery store. This is all 100% natural ingredients. I don't believe it's organic ingredients, but you can find this, and even a Walmart carries it. So, and then we're going to add a tablespoon of baking powder. And this is organic baking powder. You want to make sure that it's aluminum free. So check out your current stash of baking powder and look for the ingredients. And if it's got aluminum in it, you probably don't want to use it. We're going to add, and I'm going to eyeball this, we're going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And we're going to be adding a tablespoon of light brown sugar. Now I make my own brown sugar, and making brown sugar is very, very easy. If you're interested in knowing how to make your own brown sugar, just leave me a comment and I will send you a video link directly to how to make brown sugar. So we're going to add a tablespoon of brown sugar. I don't recommend the dark brown sugar because it's really strong. Now before we add our wet ingredients, we're going to be making this into sort of a crumble. So let me grab a fork and we'll get it all crumbled together. You can also use a pastry cutter to do this, but we're going to want to just cut in this flour really good, the lard into the flour, or in some cases, if you're going to use butter, then you would want your cold butter to be crumbled into the flour mixture. And you just want it to be, you know, meal-like, like cornmeal. You're just wanting it to be, making sure that you don't have any huge lumps of lard. They're creating national holidays for just about everything nowadays. And today was National Buttermilk Biscuit Day, and I just couldn't resist. One of my favorite things is Saturday morning having buttermilk biscuits with sausage and gravy and eggs. And I'm from the South, so we always use biscuits and gravy, even at supper time. Okay, we're just about ready to add our liquid. And biscuit dough is, you know, should be always be very gentle with it. I like flaky biscuits and soft and moist biscuits. I don't like hard, crispy biscuits. My grandmother had a recipe for crispy biscuit, and then she had a recipe for a fluffy biscuit. So this is a little bit of her recipe, but she would have never added brown sugar. I just find it leaves the biscuit really, really moist. So you have to try adding that tablespoon of brown sugar. Okay, and I'm using an organic half and half. This is going to be my liquid. It's half cream and half milk. And this is going to give more moisture to the bread, to the biscuit. And it's ice cold. It's just out of the refrigerator. And it's going to give us a really good, you know, biscuit dough. And with our buttermilk powder, it's just going to make this really, these are going to be very buttery and rich. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to get my cutting board ready, and then we'll go ahead and pour in the milk and get the batter, and then I'll come back and show you how to knead it really quickly, cut it, and get it on the pan. And I'll also go ahead and preheat the oven. You're going to want your oven about 450. If a traditional oven, you're going to want it to be about 460, in that range, because you're wanting to cook these fairly on a hot oven. You don't want to put cold biscuits into a cold oven and have it heat up. You really want to get your oven preheated. So we'll be back in just a minute. Okay everyone, we're back. I've got my flour ready to knead on the board with my ingredients. I've got all of the lard and the flour mixed together, and I'm going to be adding 1.5 cups of half and half. And half is just half milk, half cream. And it's going to really make a rich biscuit. So I'm going to put 1.5 cups into my mixture, and I'm just going to lightly fold. You don't want to stir really hard, because biscuits are, you know, really, really important to keep everything super gentle, and everything gets incorporated, and the flour mixes really well with all of the ingredients. And this is going to be a really wet, sticky dough, so if you don't like to get your hands messy, you can, you know, wear some latex gloves or something like that. I don't mind the biscuits on my hands. I'm a real proponent of wearing gloves when I deal with meat, but not necessarily biscuits. Okay, this looks really, really good and ready to knead on the board. I'm going to go ahead and scoot this over here so you can see. I'm going to spread out my flour. I've got a really large biscuit cutter here. You can use any size. You can use even a plastic cup to cut your biscuits. This is one that I really enjoy, because in the South we have a biscuit called a cathead biscuit, and the reason it's called a cathead biscuit is because the biscuits are as big as a cat's head. And so my family really enjoys the larger biscuits, and so I'm going to have those, I'm going to use those in this recipe. So I'm going to spread out my flour on the board, making sure that I have enough on each side to knead the dough together. And I'm going to go ahead and pour out my dough onto the board. And you know, it's going to look lumpy, but so what? It's going to get incorporated as soon as this dough heats up in the oven. It's not going to matter. You just don't want to handle this really roughly because you're going to have a tough, you know, hard, crunchy, tough biscuit. And it's just not enjoyable. I'm going to get what I can off of the spoon. And then I'm going to take the flour and I'm going to try and hug my dough. I call it hugging my dough. And I'm going to knead it gently. I'm not kneading it really hard like bread or anything like that. And what you want to do to get a really flaky biscuit is you want to fold your layers over so that your dough is being layered on top of each other. You know, not like a puff pastry, but just a flaky biscuit where everything is being folded in very, very, very gently. Everything is being folded. If you ever miss your grandma's biscuits, you're going to love this recipe. This is really, really, really awesome. Now, a lot of people take a rolling pin and they roll out this dough and they make it really giant size. A lot of the commercial people, I think they even do it at like a Popeye's chicken. But I just really like to get a good 1 inch or at least a half an inch on a biscuit cutter. So I'm just really gently just pressing it out. And I'm going to take my time. I don't want it to, you know, get away from me. Press, press, press. And then I'm going to make sure and flour my biscuit cutter. Get a little flour on it. And then I'm going to just start cutting. And I'm not twisting, but that's one biscuit I'm going to put on the pan. Don't really want to twist it, you just want it to get off of the board and onto your cutter. When you're laying your biscuits on the pan, you really, some people like the biscuits touching, and you can have them touch. Just know that where they do touch it's going to pool. So I'm just going to refold this. Again, being very gentle. And I'm just going to keep cutting the biscuits until all the dough is used up, until I don't have any more dough to work with. I'm just trying to be very, very, very gentle. And sometimes you're going to have what I call the tester, where, you know, you have one tiny bit of dough left and you really don't want it to go to waste. So I'm probably going to have a tester today. And all I'm going to do is roll this into a ball and flatten it out as best I can. And, you know, just to have a little small biscuit for tasting purposes. Okay. we're gonna get these into the oven. I'm gonna bake this particular recipe at 450 degrees for about 15 to 18 minutes. So when we come back, we will see how buttery and delicious and how great these biscuits look. So we'll be right back. So guys, we are back and the biscuits are out of the oven, and as you can see, they are huge. They've risen up wonderfully and they've browned wonderfully. So I have brushed them with butter, and these are just wonderful for breakfast. But for the purposes of National Buttermilk Biscuit Day, I'm gonna have some canned figs, and I'm going to try one of these wonderful flaky biscuits. I mean, look at the inside of this biscuit. It's the steam. I don't know if you can see that, but the steam is actually coming off the biscuit. They're just wonderful. And these are some canned figs. Homemade canned figs. They're crispy and soft on the inside, full of wonderful tasting butter. All of the flavors are there, and the sweetness of the figs with the syrup is just absolutely yummy. I hope you'll try this recipe and post your comments at the bottom. For a copy of this recipe, all you need to do is go to potspansandpioneers.com. It's a spam-free website. We don't collect your email address, and you can print off the recipe from the website there. Please give us a thumbs up for the video. Subscribe to our channel for more recipes, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Happy Buttermilk Biscuit Day. Thanks, everyone.